How are you guys? Cold? You need more heat? Oh. Anyway, everybody have to achieve enlightenment and full happiness. In order to that, we need to merit. And also, in merit, we have sometimes a lot of obstacles. The Maras blessing our mind. Therefore, all the purify that kind of obstacles, the merit, we all recite together 21 Tara, 110. In this 20, page 221. Okay?
All my prostrate to the noble transcendental liberator.
All its showers to zero away, thy sight lightning instantaneous, from opening statements of the Lord of three worlds here from lotus. Homage she whose face combines 100 autumn moons at fullest, blazing with light rays resplendent as 1,000 star collection. Homage golden blue on lotus, water-born and heaven-adorning, giving ever calm austerities, patience, meditation, her stream. Homage crown of Tathagata's actions triumph without limit, relied on by conquerors children, having reached every perfection. Homage filling with Tutare, whom desire direction and space, trampling with their feet the 7 worlds, able to draw forth all beings. Homage worshipped by the All-Lord, Chakra Agni Brahma Maru, honored by the host of spirits, prostrates with Gandharvas Yakshas. Homage with her tray and pay sounds, destroying close magic diagrams, her feet pressing left out right in, blazing in a raging fireplace. Homage to her very dreadful, destroyer of Mara's champions, she with frowning lotus visage, who is slayer of all enemies. Homage at the heart her fingers, adorn her with Yudra Mudra, like great masses all excited, all directions will adorn her. Homage she's of joyous radiance, round emitting balance of light, mirthful laughing with Tutare, subjugating Mara's devas. Homage she able to summon all her guardians assembly, shaking frowning with her home sign, sailing from every misfortune. Homage crown adorned with crescent, whom all ornaments will shining. Amitabha in her hair, sending downwards light eternal. Homage she would make the blaze like Muyavan fire of lighting. Bright stripes up and choice around you, troops of enemies destroying. Homage she who strikes the ground with her palm and with her foot beats it. Scowling twins of leather Honda, settled level she does conquer. Homage happy virtuous peaceful, she whose feelings peace nirvana. She in battle moments Zoha, destroyer of joy evil. Homage she with joy surrounded, tearing those bodies asunder. Trees the Roman knowledge mantra, arrangement of the 10 letters. Homage stirring the sea letter, of the shape of syllable. By from stepping shakes the 3 words, Meru Mandara and Inda. Homage holding in your hand, the Tirakuna Deva lake form. With thy spoken Tara and Pig, totally dispelling poison. Homage she who floods in their kings, and the Kinnaras do honor. Armored in all joyful splendor, she dispels by dreams and conflicts. Homage she moves through our bright waves, radiance of sun and full moon. With Christ direct and Tutare, she dispels severe contagion. Homage full of liberating, powered by the special flame dangers. Destroys souls of spirits, yakshas, and raise forces supreme to his praises with the root mantras, and prostrations of star 21.
Oh, sorry. What's the hope to that there? benefit.
245,
Okay.
prayer benefit.
This is the benefit. If you recite the para.
Page 245. Whoever is endowed with
thus endowed with this greatness, one will then be the peaceful state of the world. If this prayer is recited 2, 3, or 7 times, you will pacify all the sufferings and torments caused by spirits, fevers, and poisons, and by other beings as well. If you wish for a child, you will get a child. If you wish for wealth, you will receive wealth. All your wishes will be fulfilled, and all obstacles pacified.
Okay, good. This will also purify negative karmas and also little patching.
Will not be hindered, there will be no hindrances from the demons and maras.
Okay, this is puja. And who sit on the chair, you guys put under the feet small cushions, more comfortable. About the flow through core. Good, everybody comfortable? Yeah. 상관도 걸어서 무시라 됐어. 나도 지금 아니 샤워 연바도 많이 bil 콜라지. So
we're very fortunate to have this opportunity to study about what is right, what is wrong, and to create a cause for happiness and to eradicate the sufferings. So in order to achieve enlightenment, we need the accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. And also, in order for us to be able to successfully complete our studies or to learn things successfully, we need to have a good accumulation of merit as a support for us. We need to remove the obstacles that obstruct us from completing successfully doing the studies and so forth. And so for that reason, then we engage in the practice of like pujas, where we make offerings and prayers, like the Tara Puja, Guru Puja, Medicine Buddha Puja, and also the prayers that we just recited before the teaching.
아니 신지 랍생도 아마도 신지 봤어야 됐다 신지 야갈도 두번 갈라면 이랬어.
So blessings, usually when we say blessings, can be blessing in a good way or in a bad way also.
그래다 신지 랍생다 다 여와동 그래.
So bless means to change.
근데 다 샘칭 삼삼 기회 쇼라야지 이제 되고 샘대야 뭐 기회 줘 봐졌더니 어떻게 된 거래 아니 삼삼식이 취소라 직다 나도 취신되고 삼바티 온 삼아야 아니 샘 기회 돼서 기회를 줘봐 어떻게 말해
So like when we're trying to do something good, then we change our mind, and then we go on doing the bad things, the things that are not very useful for ourselves. And then that's that kind of change, and also like changing from being bad to good, like coming to the center and studying Dharma and practicing Dharma. That's that kind of change is a good blessing.
대체 봐야다 지금 간세 넘버 소식 합다 지게 나야 다 지금 그와신데 삼바 가세지 지게 요번에 대체와대 다 나다는 신기라 봐야 돼.
So whatever amount of the thought we have had for practicing Dharma, studying Dharma, that is the blessing, of the gurus and the deities of us.
아니 나도 가지는 하다라면 신gel랍으로 신gel랍 손서는 더 들리는 신gel랍을 마도 신gel랍서야지 노도라고 나도 깨게 와게면 말이에요.
So when we ask for blessings, from the gurus and Buddhas, that is the kind of blessings that we receive. It's not something a solid that can be passed to your hand.
아니 지 주의 전도가 삼바양 사람매가 아니 지 전바지 다 가영마에 제대로 삼바 못 뛰어가려나 단텔라 듣지 신gel랍서.
So if you don't have a wish to practice Dharma or study Dharma and wish to do things that that's not good for oneself, not the right things, then that is the blessings of the Maras. And in order to not get such kind of blessings, it is important to make prayers to Tara and so forth.
Okay. Also, I saw that many people really memorize 21 Tara. That's very good. 21 Tara is not too long. And if you're available, you can memorize. Then even if you're driving, you can recite. And also, if you work in the computer, I don't know, maybe this is your job. Maybe you read the Tara, they do something that you maybe send to wrong email. Big trouble. Anyway, however, you have more comfortable times. Of course, we need to focus on our job because we have to live. We need to keep the house, keep the jobs. Therefore, we have to focus on our job. It's also very important. But not 24 hours only job. When we have time, we can make some time, People can divide our day, our time, Okay, this time, my practice. This time, I'm joined with my desire. This time, I have to do things. This time, I do, you can divide our time. Then more,
So if you divide your time in that way, then you always do the things that you're supposed to do.
Otherwise, it happens, it's not important. Then sometimes our, I don't know. I know this word, I forgot. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
So anyway, if you make a commitment, a strong commitment like that, then it's useful, helpful.
And then Dhamma said, "They can't get neither chuju come and then color cow eat them by the cow by the land and Brahma chuju and road in Rogus."
So I used to recite Tara prayer since I was very young, not from learning, not from reading myself, but just from somebody teaching me orally.
근데 예상 아직 딱 바윤이 나와봐 취도 좀 가려까지 Brahma 교한다. 이 색은 내리들 거라고 버티서 뭐였어.
So when I was escaping from Tibet, to go to India, I was reciting Tara prayers, and I feel like I was always protected on the way.
That time I'm very good Tara memorized. I can very easy to not lifting. I can recite. Since I come to India, then hundreds of monks together we recite together. Then I don't much pay attention, Now if I to do myself, then always jump. Sometimes too long, sometimes too short, sometimes never end. Go around that. Anyway, today that I know to this Brahma so what I kitchen for Shirainza, and not something to
because it's important to make prayers to venerable Tara. Therefore, sometimes we do a Tara puja. So as I have always mentioned the importance of that, if you can make a time to come to the Tara pujas and other pujas, that would be great.
During that time you can check it blessing from Mara or he most blessed from Mara, right? So I don't have time. I have to do things. Okay? 근데 다 남아 상기 취해야 돼. 근데 내가 이제 대화도 많이 봐. 타워도 진짜 봐. 도다니. 조리하기. 자체제. 낙차고. 이제 말이지.
So the Buddhism, or the teachings of the Buddha, is like a tool, not just to achieve happiness in this life, but to achieve the ultimate happiness of liberation and enlightenment. And so that kind of happiness can't be achieved just by praying. And so therefore one has to work hard, from one's body, speech, and mind.
아니 나도 상지가 공부 타와서 톱 맞추게 돼. 아니 나도 다 내가 예선지 들어와. 먹게 와서 돼 말이지.
And so what prevents us from achieving this state of ultimate happiness, of enlightenment or liberation, is our own negative karmas.
근데 여자 아니 근데 내가 예선지 먹게 왔다냐. 내가 예선지 거는 바빠 와시고 그래서 리지만에 셔서 마음이 다 진도 맞줘야. 그렇죠?
And so those are the 10 non-virtuous actions created through our body, speech, and mind. And in order to purify those, you have to practice through the body, speech, and mind. So we have to physically make prostrations, circumambulations, and so forth, and then verbally reciting prayers, making requests, and so forth, and then mentally, like meditating or contemplating on loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, emptiness, and so forth. And so right now we have all the favorable conditions from outside as well as inside to do those practices. And so at this time, it is very important to do without being distracted by other things.
아니 자세히 뭐 셔발래 근데 다와 녀잖아 다가 계속 마시는 근데 못 마시는 근데 셔와시면 근데 못 마시면 또 다소 많이 말했어.
So just like Shantideva said in his guide to the Buddhist way of life, that once having achieved this kind of leisure and endowments, if we don't take a good advantage of this, then there's no no deceitful than that, and there's no greater deceit than that, there's no greater ignorance than that. And so that kind of leisure and endowments we have achieved right now. So why do we have to achieve liberation or enlightenment? It's because we don't want to experience any suffering. So liberation from this suffering is called the liberation. And so what are the causes of all the sufferings that we experience right now? And it's the non-virtuous actions that we have created in the past. So we created non-virtuous actions in the past and left the imprint of those actions in our mind. And when those imprints meet with the condition, then they ripen in the form of suffering. And so if we engage in those practices, then those negative karmas that were created in the past, we can purify them. If we are not able to purify completely, and at least make them not ripen right now, or at least make it to become less powerful. And so, for example, like if we have created a very strong negative karma to fall into the lower realm, and then just by practicing dharma, in this life, we may experience some sorts of small suffering, and that will purify that the great result of the rebirth in the lower realm.
배나 메카제 체들라 지금 있는 거다 뭐 여러 뭐 간이 여러 두자치는 마시는 데는 샤워하는 거 처음 매대면서 아니 지금 새들은 약고 지가 되나야 제가 너무 뭐라 그래도 좀 싸셔요 앉아 야 되게 되어 나는 뭐 되거든 이 버리스.
And so some people, they practice Dharma very well, study Dharma very well, don't engage in any negative actions, but go through all these sufferings, go through all sorts of problems and sufferings, and doesn't become successful in what they do and so forth. It's because of the negative karma they have created in the past. So by through the practice, they purify those negativities, and then and then experience the result in a very small form of suffering in this lifetime, so they will not have to experience again in the future.
야, 몇 가지 지금 제대로 샤워 말업 짱짱 제대로 남로 친구들이 온다. 등소야, 지켜와 노마들이야. 지금 개회를 하고 싸셔가 되게 되고. 야, 나와 드리죠. 어떻게 돼요? 만들어가시는 지금 제대로 믿어들이 말이지.
Then some people will be very bad in their lifetime, but then they become very successful. They're very they achieve everything that they want and so forth. So that's the result of the positive karma that they have created in the past. And so that the result of that positive karma is experienced in the success of this life by that person. And so then that positive karma doesn't become a cause to achieve liberation or enlightenment in the future.
아니 지강에도 어떤 제백가라 양 단대를 백강님 삼십 쓰잖아요. 막 많죠. 쇼원님 무슨 먹는 게 와이나 아니 지금 소소야 삼십 맞춰봐. 아니 일단 삼십 전에도 삼명이 도와다.
And when one is experiencing these kind of difficulties or sufferings, then at that time, if one pray for other beings to not face this kind of sufferings, thinking that whatever I'm facing, may other beings not face like this anymore, and if one becomes understand like that, then one will be more courage, to do the practice, and also that helps one to purify those negative karmas, and then also helps one to think about other sentient beings. And so that's how one should be thinking in general.
Then we go to the lam-rim. Lam-rim says, "Chitang Sanji Chum de Song Shava Imbachi." The lam-rim says, "Tanya de George Padia de Shapella Penny." Tashan lam-rim says, "Lam-rim says, Tanya de Shova."
So the teaching of lam-rim, or the graduated path to enlightenment, is a teaching taught by Buddha, but of course the title, the name, as a stages of the path to enlightenment, or graduate path to enlightenment, is obtained after Lama Atisha came to Tibet when he first composed the text known as Lamp on the Path to Enlightenment. And so anyway, so what it teaches, is the stages of the path. So in order to achieve enlightenment, what kind of stages that you have to go through, at what stage what you practice, and what stage what you practice, and at what stage what you achieve, and so forth. So that stage of the practice or path, is called the lam-rim, or stages of the path to enlightenment.
Okay. And
so there are so many different kind of lam-rim texts, and different versions, different length and so forth. So anyway, so these lam-rims are taught mainly in 4 categories.
Okay. Then I would like to add any volunteers give to the 4.
What are the 4 main outlines?
I would like to ask some volunteers. Can I find?
You understand?
You guys got it?
Can somebody tell what are the 4 outlines? What are the 4 main outlines?
Usually, if you don't have time to study whole, read the all lam-rims, you can memorize the outlines. Then you can, a little bit meditation,
So then you do a brief glance meditation. That would be good.
Anyone knows?
draw me a little bit when you talk about 4. So let me suggest the 3 anyway: small scope, medium scope, and large scope.
대만 못 노래다. 한번 남는데 짧게 되지. This is the time of 깨웠으면 냐면 깨웠으면 들어왔어.
So yes, you can that's about the 3 scopes, right? So the lam-rim text itself, there are many outlines. There are 4 main outlines, and then each of the 4 are then break down into many sub outlines. So that's what he was talking about.
저는 나야도 따다래. 깨워 냐면에 가지는 깨워 준비처럼 냐면처럼 저는 따다래 되었어.
So you're right about the practice, the practice of the small scope, the practice of the medium scope, and the great scope.
근데 나는 너 손에 대고 깨워 준비성 나온다 했어.
Yeah, of course, and that is what is taught in the lam-rim text as well.
Okay? You are great. Then anyone? Good.
Is the first one the preparatory practices?
That person,
Okay, now I'll say, okay? Right. You guys, pick up very good things, but not pick up what I asked questions. But it's good enough. Anybody has a very good influence. Special merchant, she very good worker.
So, the importance of the practice.
Okay. 난게 라이데 간데 상조론지 저는 시에서 축구 좀 맞추면 대바고 나오는 대바고 되죠.
So there's the main four main outlines. The first one is the greatness of the author, given to show the teaching has an immaculate source.
You understand? Do you heard? It's new people that usually start this test many years. The senior students have done many times, but 축구지만 저번에 다 주디 야보를 가르나 팀 제법을 강하다 야보를 했어요. 먼저 축구도 제법 쳐봤어.
So then in order to show that the teaching, the teaching that is explained in this book is good, it is authentic, and then we explain about the greatness of the author, the person who wrote this book.
Right. Usually we also maybe I don't know all the things, but some profession what is that? kanji depth tumba potita kare geli chimbo chimbaina depth yamor karna ta kutumbo gede yamor was.
And so if we know, if the composer, the person who wrote the book is a well-known person, then we will say the books that's written by him or her are good because it's written by such and such person who is well-known.
Right? 어디 지바래 다 니바데 당화라 기바지 취시 와서 아니 당화라 기바시 거치다니 취대 딱 강성하게 취대라 기바시 거치다니 다 취대라 지주가래 이래서 안
And so the second one, is the greatness of the Dharma, in order to general respect towards Dharma.
다 니바데 아니 담바 체와니들이 주나 진이 지다시 그래서 대니 체중이들 되는 취대라다 아니 냠력하는 식으로 해서.
And then the third one is how to practice the teachings that contains these two greatnesses.
아니 시와데 다 담방이 너무 지다를 담바 다 된지가 담마 된지가 랍자티가 대신 다 시계나 간리 편을 세거나 다 대자도 냠력 간리 한 거서 나무도 대자를 간리 편도치에서 된다고 들어왔어.
Then the fourth one is the stages of leading the disciples of the actual instruction.
Okay, 사실 뒤는 다 자담이 되어서 대시나.
So all the teachings of this whole entire lam-rim is included in these 4 categories.
Okay, 아니 근데지 좋나 이 말을 했더니 사실 레레를 얻습니다. 야고요.
So if possible, if you can memorize each of these categories or outlines a day, it would be very helpful.
Right? Okay. 다 시당 남주치와나 남름 소주치 마치고 가려야 아니 지금 30 가war래다 뒤에야 송송 맞춰서 좀 양주 껴들이 강을 말라야 수들이 열렸어.
So the tradition of the lam-rim teaching is that wherever you are starting, wherever you stop the teaching, or whichever point you are starting from, then you have to go through all the outlines of the teaching, and before that, where we are stopped.
대송소나 눈에 지났다 대마송이 송길라 디과서 자동치 딱 공제 상지 안때때 땅으로 요래서.
And so when that is explained, when the previous outlines are explained, before you start, from where we stopped last time, then you're supposed to do a glance meditation on that.
Okay. 어디지? 다 남도들 막 남도 로로를 도나 로로로 신로가 나 어디 그렇지. 아니 담보라 아니 다 축근 대법을 지어갔다는 아니 다 되는 대법보다 어릴 부서 말할 거리 지어버렸어. 대전에 얘들 간지까지 지어버렸어. 얘네 땜발 안에 샤워카를 간 줄을 그랬어. 다도 제제제라 공부 마소요 그랬어.
And so in order to explain about the author, to show that the teaching has an immaculate source, and we explained about the author, the life biography of the author. The first one is about his birth, how he was born into the highest families, and how he attained good qualities in that very rebirth, and then how the things that he did to further the doctrine after gaining these qualities.
아니 가제 조지 받아야 세상에 아니 자와를 깨워 임바지 나는 자기 또 변했는데 어떻게 그래서.
And so Ram-rim was born in India, and then he studied with the Nalanda scholars and achieved all the knowledges.
아니 시다 남이 취사돼 다 담보 자가다 아니 자가네 파 아니 자나 아니 타일랜드 스리랑카에서 거기다 아니 베트남에 갔다 뭐 생기 또 그것도 문제도 자가 이 말이야.
So the teaching, of course, had started from India, and then it went out to China, Thailand, Burma, and so forth, and then came to Tibet as well.
어디다 어디네 말이지. 다 자가라지 왔더니 말이야. 다 아니 예대님에 들어야 다 자가도 그 가르가는 저 말이야. 배도 가르가는 저 말이야. 그래서
And then after he gained all these qualities, experience, and realizations, then how he did this in India, and how he did to benefit sentient beings in Tibet.
그래다 다 자가라 아니 상주가 쌤네. 다 정말도 뭐 보지 되네 별에 다 상주 남그래서 또 뭐 말이야.
And so in India, he of course completed all the studies and then received instructions on the bodhicitta and so forth. Then in Tibet, and then there was the first text that he composed was the lamp on the path to enlightenment.
그래. 근데 사실 방법이 좀 살았지. 나는 방법이 기사랬어.
So that's about the greatness of the author author given to show that teachings has an immaculate source.
근데 저 어디 싸움도 따서 봐야 돼. 손은 빠지면 또 싸우게 그래서 겨우 빠지면.
If you can just think like that, if you can even think just think like that, accumulate a great amount of merit.
오케이. 다 이봐라 당화를 기바 취지셔가서 받으라 담마다 좀 가면도 또 쳐와. 소라만에 당화는 지금 제가 제요금 받으라 님이 쳐와. 지시치 뭐란 가는 좀 쳐와라서 쳐와 시어래.
And then the greatness of the Dharma given to increase one's respect for the instruction. Self is divided into 4 categories. The first one is the greatness of allowing you to realize that all teachings are without contradiction. The greatness of allowing all the scriptures to present themselves to you as an instruction. And the greatness of allowing you to easily discover the true thinking of the victorious one. And the greatness of allowing you to save yourself from the worst misdeeds.
다 때마다 좀 가면도 또 쳐와. 나네 다 산재기 아니 다 또도 뭐 대화지도 가 가와매 봐. 지기지가 패만 보던 가와매 봐 또 와이나 때마다 좀 가면도 쳐와.
And then the first one, the greatness of allowing you to realize that all teachings are without contradiction. And so there are many different kind of teachings like the sutras, tantras, the great vehicle teachings or the lower vehicle teachings and so forth. So all these are not contradicting with each other at all. They are all to supplement or to assist each other.
아니 소라말에 당하는 집에서 저 나는 사실 좀 되고 수 지금 삼선 대봐 예봐 송 삼선 대봐 매번 송 어떤 남자 송이요 도도가 당하는 저도 정말 소라말에 당하는 집에 제가지.
So then the greatness of allowing all the scriptures to present themselves to you as an instruction. So all the teachings that you recite, to you read, or you study, so it allows you to, all of these teachings as appear as instruction to you, personal instruction to yourself.
아니 대쇼와에는 아니 자비 공부 들어가는 년도 그래서.
So if that happens, then you easily discover the true thinking of the victorious one.
대쇼와에는 대쇼가 아니다 예제 친구랑 같아. 다 라주는 가는 거다. 이제 뭐 영어 말해서.
And if that happens, then after that, all the worst misdeeds will come to end by itself.
뭐야? 어디다 던져 지 그래. 대조가라 삼부터 따와야 다 싫어할 뻔도 좀 그래서.
So if you think about this, there is great benefit.
배는 던져 쇼와에는 아니 예제 친구랑 같아. 가리는 가오에서 너무 좋아야 내가 이났어.
So how will we, prevent all these worst misdeeds if these happen?
가르에서나 아니 개와서에도 적고 그래. 뒷바서에도 빵고 그래. 강을 들어가 개와든 데래. 강 빨리 뒷바든 데래 송쇼와에다 던져 약고 예빠였나? 아니 가서 개외 샤워를 주바. 뒷비 샤워를 주고 말이야. 먼저 가는 거.
And so if you were taught this is the virtuous action, this is non-virtuous actions, you should not create non-virtuous actions, you should only create virtuous actions, and because there's this benefits. If you create non-virtuous, then there's this disadvantages or harms and so forth. If you're taught like that, and if you really understood that, then you will not engage in non-virtuous actions, right? So that's how it kind of allows you to prevent yourself from engaging in worse misdeeds.
맨날 빼차잖아. 전도지 봐. 아니 다 죽을 나자치니 막고 내가 전주 봐. 전도 무슨 득바비 전도 신경이 왔어.
So, for example, did you know that killing a bug, is non-virtuous actions before you came into Dharma?
Any dharmas, maybe,
Any teachings?
Any teachings, right? We don't think that. We don't think it's just bugs. It's bug, Some, some of our students, sometimes here, we call it. He catches some wire, 배와 키 배와 있으면 배와 소야 되는 너무 먹고 다 사오고 그 키니 콜테네 그때 디파이어 큰 가서 나게 됐어. 디파이어라 가지도 버려와 나게 됐어.
수리. 수리.
아주 좀 나게 됐어.
So somebody said he was raising a frog, so he has a frog as a pet. And then in order to raise the frog, he was catching worms from the earth, catching worms and feeding them. And then he didn't know that doing that was non-virtuous action. He said killing a worm is non-virtuous action. How does that become non-virtuous action?
Right. Also, do you see killing people? We just leave that. Do you guys thought angry create non-virtuous actions?
Have you ever heard that by becoming angry you are creating non-virtuous action just by becoming angry?
Good. 근데 이제 저도 때나 딱 가서 또 출력으로 좀 맞으면 되잖아. 저도 지금 개와도 먹기 위해서 저도 신경이 왔어.
So before you studied Dharma, did you know about the virtuous and non-virtuous actions?
Someone, right? If you listen to the go to church, they teach you guys also turn on virtues.
Yeah.
It's very just different names, but the meaning is exactly the same.
Yeah.
I have one tutor. She was go to church. She still all go to church. Then we just I did a book together. Then she told me that turn on virtues. This just different names. All the
It's similar with the non-virtuous actions that we talk about here.
Therefore, we say all the religions are good. We need to respect all them. They all talk about
because it teaches about the person, about how the person should be good in this lifetime. So therefore, we should consider that as good, right?
Okay. 어떤데 말다 간제 마보가도 시기매와 연자 다 지금 출력 관련해 주진 냠에 제마였나 아니 대라더니 내가 가면 많이 바까이나 가 송괴원자 근데 많이 메셔도 많이 벗어와야 될라는 거 샤바들 마주면서 이제 침보랑 가는 거는 그래서.
So through studying Dharma, we come to understand, what is good, what is bad, and why we should not engage in the bad, and why we should always try to engage in good, and so forth. So we understand that, and therefore, we will automatically, because we understand that, therefore, we will automatically, prevent ourselves from creating non-virtuous actions as much as possible.
와듯이 다 사셨은 바들 저완이도 주냐 취란 천리치다 지부터라 취 년배들 시배들 유도 통치다 지금 말씀이 그래서.
So then how to teach and listen to the Dharma that has these two greatnesses. So that's the third category. And that one has the way to listen to the Dharma and contemplating the benefits of studying the Dharma, how to show respect for the Dharma and its teacher and so forth.
아니 담보 취들이 방향기고 그래서 아니 취다 취모가라 러시아 그래 취년 생이 있으면 그래서.
So the first one is the actual way to listen to the Dharma, abandoning the three types of faults, hindering one from becoming the worthy vessel, the faults of being light and so forth. And so those are the first how to listen to the Dharma.
아니 대란 내지 그냥 선포 이제 다시 truth는 거네 sense 니.
And so the way to listen to the Dharma is by abandoning the three faulty vessels and adopting the six good attitudes.
아니 내지 그냥 선도 가래.
So what are the three faulty vessels?
It is very important.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
A leaky vessel, a dirty vessel, and an upside down vessel.
Okay.
A leaky vessel, an upside down vessel, and a dirty vessel.
Sure you're not on this.
No, I think it is.
Okay?
Oh,
Yeah. Good.
Thanks, Chuck.
now I'm nervous. A leaky vessel, is it working?
Yes.
An upside down vessel, and a
Okay.
dirty vessel.
Okay. This is what's the example, right? Now this come back for us. How you explain? Can you
Oh,
read it?
oh, yeah.
You're not
Well,
finished.
I can try, sorry.
What you example for leaky vessel?
Well, if the vessel is leaky, then whatever you put in it
Go back.
falls out.
Okay. Then
And if
example. This is example. Then
Meaning.
meaning.
Oh, well, if you're listening to the teachings, then you don't apply them and they just fall out.
Okay. Then what can be for us? Understand already.
So do we fall under that category?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. Then leaky vessel. That is
Dirty vessel,
yeah. Dirty vessel.
if our minds aren't pure, or at least moving towards being pure, then we'll misunderstand the teachings.
Oh, it's good, right? Good.
Semtabome라서.
센터범에서 되지. 또 지금 가로. 야만은 지대 지지가 막. 야만은 지금 줄여지. 마베죠. 들으시는 년도 봐이나. 가서 이제 배는 말이지.
And so that's like listening to the teaching with the wrong motivation or bad motivation, like with the eight worldly concerns, or in order to I'm going to listen to that teaching and then find out the faults, and then I will, disgrace that teaching. So if you listen with that kind of thought, so that would be like a dirty vessel.
I think maybe we are not much that. But you know that tell the show age 말이지. 아니, the last one what?
The upside down vessel,
Okay. After that is what?
well, if it's upside down, it means you're not really listening, nothing's penetrating.
Yeah. You guys understand it? If you stay here, you say, oh, after that, tomorrow I do that. You just, you just said that you mind go to outside. Oh, yesterday I have something to miss it, They can't, if you stay here, then you don't last much lesson, Whatever they talk, that we don't listen. 근데 얘는 가진 것을 팬 토고 말해서 얘는 또 자오시고 그랬어.
So if we are, like any of those faulty vessels, then it will not be helpful to us to listen to the teaching. So we should clear these faulty vessels.
Are you guys thinking about tomorrow's plan? This afternoon? What can I do tomorrow? What did I cook tonight dinner? Anyway, joking, okay? 근데 대체 대체 쭉 때마다 다들 먹으셔야 이래서 와. 하나 아니 내 봤다 그런데 출라 메타인데 지금 먹어봐라 메타인데
So then adopting the 6 good attitudes, thinking the attitude that you are like a patient, a sick person, a patient, and developing the attitude that the Holy Dharma is like the medicine, and attitude that spiritual guide is like a skillful doctor, and developing this, the attitude that diligent practice will cure the illness and so forth. So there are 6 of them.
단위바 70배들아 시 70배 변해서 쌤바다 줄을 넣으셔 봐. 쌤바다 주에 쳤다. 시에서 예강 시바다 무시 위치가 다 대주셔야 되는 거라고 그래서.
And so, the teaching and listening to the Dharma. So first, the teaching, like when you teach Dharma, then how you should teach. That's thinking about the benefits of teaching the Dharma, and being respectful to the Dharma and its teachers, what to think and do while teaching, what to think, what to think and do, what to do while teaching, and then who to teach and who not to teach, and so forth.
근데 얘 강아 시바다 마시바 생각도 하고 그걸 마시 수수 강 시세가 마시다가나야 가셔야 다들 여기 들어.
So just because you know the Dharma doesn't mean that you should teach it to anybody. You should know who you should teach and who you should not teach. So you have to know the differences. Otherwise, the teaching might become harmful instead of being beneficial.
What? That is such a somebody 그러고.
So that was the 3rd one, right?
아 사실 시와. 근데 시와로만 담방이 너무 치다지 그러면 당원이 된적이 추 되게 사 아니 남녀들 가르쳐서 해놨어.
And then the 4th category, 4th outline, the 4th main outline, is the sequence in which the disciples are to be taught the actual instruction.
그러고 아니 대라 남짓도 신예 때문에 때는 놓치다지 그러면 이래서.
And that one is again divided into 2 main categories. Those are the root of the path, the devotion to a spiritual guide, and what to do in your meditation session. So into that one, and then how to train your mind. Once you have devoted yourself to the spiritual teaching.
다 당보라 텐징 올라 제달라 제달이 많이 당보라 주의 주도. 그러고.
So the first one was that I mentioned earlier, that what to do in your meditation session, and that one has like the preparatory rites. So that one has the first one, the meditation session, and has a gondira.
단 이방 이제라 아니 신의 때문에 보인 마테마나 때들로 뱀이 소베트의 주에 때서 다시 시로 봐.
So during the meditation session, there's the preparatory, the preparation, and then the actual meditation, and then the conclusion. So in the preparatory, the 6 preparatory rites, right? And then in the actual, is the how to devote, to the spiritual teacher and so forth. So therefore, the spiritual teacher is very important. So just like Lam-rim said that the Guru is the foundation of all good qualities. Devoting to him or her properly is the root of the path.
근데 신이 야보 신이 대양 직다 제주제도 된게 좋아요. 신이 다와시가 이제 받아 제주제도 된게 거기 그래서.
And then the spiritual teacher that you rely on has to also have certain qualities to be a valid teacher, such as like the teacher has to be subdued, pacified, and completely pacified, and so forth. Anyway, there are 10 qualities that I mentioned. And the teacher should possess those 10 qualities.
와다 동조 거는 막 세워요 얼마요 또 장고 당부 신이 맞으면 뭐 신이 걸어 상을 받고 그래서.
And so those are in details in this text, and so you should think read and think about that. And then first, it is important to rely on a spiritual teacher. So you have to think about the benefits of relying on spiritual teachers.
아니 당보심에도 변해라 제다 상지 공부를 신이 야보 때마다 상지 공부를 얘기를 했어.
And so then if you rely on a spiritual teacher, there are 8 advantages. So if the first one is that you will become closer to enlightenment.
아니 자와나 제반조 상제도 그가 제거를 했어.
So all the victorious ones, so the Buddhas will be happy.
아니 됐다 뒤쪽으로서 받치고 주 말했어.
And will not be inflicted by any of the harms from the demons and non-virtuous friends.
아니 용모다 예시에 아주 인간으로 그랬어.
And all the delusions and the mysteries will come to end by itself.
아니 사람들이 냥도다서 공부를 주고 그랬어.
And when we will increase all the qualities or the realizations of the paths and grounds.
아니 트라탄제도 기වි신 본거 말했어.
One will not be, one will not lack a spiritual teacher in any of one's life, in future lives.
내가 다도 그때는 몇만 적을 했어.
And we will spontaneously accomplish all the wishes of the temporal and ultimate.
아니 마태베 님이 다 텔레도 받으려고.
And so the disadvantage of not relying on a spiritual teacher is the opposite of those.
다 나도 그랬어. 나도 때 잡고 땡에다 나도 그랬지. 거기 잠시만 용도 와서 좋아래 그러왔어. 도와서 그래.
So even though we rely on a spiritual teacher properly, but we face so much problems, and we might be doubting ourselves, right?
You can't blame the teacher. You can't blame the teachers, right? Yeah, doesn't.
So we might complain to the teacher, say that they are not protecting us.
The text that we
so if we say that, just like it is explained in the text, we don't receive all those benefits of relying on a teacher. So that shows that we're not properly devoted to our teacher, which means we're not following 100% to our teacher, whatever he or she is telling us to do. If we do exactly what they tell us to do, then we'll definitely receive all these benefits that are mentioned here. So just doing as much as we can is very good. There are so many things that we're supposed to do and we're not supposed to do. So then once you have rely on somebody as your teacher, if you give up or if you devote to the teacher in a bad way, and then what are the disadvantages of that? So how you take someone as your teacher, especially, of course, just by receiving teachings, you can think of that person as your teacher. But if you receive vows or initiations, then definitely that person becomes your teacher.
Then after you receive that, then you say, oh, he or she terrible, I don't want good anymore, the teacher. Then that relation, I need somebody to rest, to rest. You want to do? I need time to machine, they mention the song to Joy, and then she needs to look at the
so if you say that, and I don't like this teacher anymore, and I don't want to rely on him or her anymore, I'm not going to see this person as my guru anymore. If you think like that, then that is that's bad. That's so giving up the guru devotion.
다들 님에 가르친다. 아니 라마라에 가로. 근데 로베 님이 있잖아. 라마라 님에셔나 자와크나 님에셔. 다 라마라 카토마로 혹시 야보면 지체는 라 카토나. 다 자와 상제 가마라 카토마 지바레스.
So then the disadvantage, like if you disparage your guru, it's the same as disparaging or insulting all the victorious ones.
아니 라마라 컨트롤 기지마 지셔나 티탄다님이 다 계사 쫓니다 야와 레사로 그래서.
So when you develop angry thoughts towards your guru, you destroy your root merits, and will be born in the hell for the same number of eons as the moment of your anger.
And then Malatani Chondra Marestra.
And will not achieve the supreme state despite your reliance on Tantra.
And the Kandichi Sochi Governor Drevaki, Jeton Tutan, Tanyawata was Drevina. Tanyawata was Chipares, and then Thon Chusavanga.
So it says, though you seek the benefits of Tantra, your practice will achieve only the hells and the like. So because you have lapsed your Guru devotion, therefore, and even if you practice Tantra, you will achieve hell and so forth. And so whatever, so you will not develop any fresh qualities and knowledges, and whatever you have developed before will be degenerated. So and says you will not meet with the spiritual teacher in many of your lives in the future, and then will have to wander in cycle existence or especially lower realm endlessly. And so then so that's the devoting to your spiritual through thought. There's thought, and then that's through the action. Then there's thought that has so there's training yourself to have faith in your guru. So training yourself to have faith in your guru, and then thinking of his or her kindness and developing strong respect towards him or her. And so the first one, training yourself to have faith in the guru. The reason you must regard your guru as a Buddha. So then it says that the reason why you are able to see him in this way, how to regard him properly. So Buddha Vajradhara himself has stated that the guru is Buddha. And then also it says that Buddha is the representative. The guru is the representative of all the Buddhas. And so even at this time, at this present time, Buddhas work for the benefit of sentient beings, right? And so if the Buddha is working for the sake of sentient beings even at this present time, and then who is the Buddha if it is not the guru? So it says one cannot be sure of one's appearance, right? So you can't be sure of what things, how things appear to you. Is there certainty to what appears to us? So if there is a certainty, then it should be right? So we do things because that's how it appears to us, and because of doing things through how it appears to us, we make many mistakes. And so, by remembering the kindness of the guru and respecting for him by remembering his kindness, and so that one has he is much kinder than all the Buddhas in general, and so he is kinder than especially than even Buddha Shakyamuni. Like his kindness in teaching the Dharma, his kindness in blessing your mind stream, his kindness in attracting you into his circle through material gifts and so forth. And so then the next one, devoting yourself through thoughts or through the action of deeds. So this is what to do in the last part of the session and so forth. So then centered devoting yourself through the deeds is making offerings of the material things and serving the guru, serving like a slave, serving the guru, and then also practicing just as it has been advised by the guru.
Okay, 다 대신 도서 다 뒤에 다 니바 때는 드리 진이다 때는 가져왔나 다이어트라 니몰래 줘 거와 니모치다 레벨 다 동골라 다 좀 믿어 봐 대셔 와서 얘가 왔어 봐. 다 나도 단중 무슨 소리 대셔 왔어 봐. 얘가 와. 나가는 거는 내가 됐어.
And so then after relying on the spiritual teacher in this way, how do you, train yourself in the actual path? And so then first it starts with the contemplation or meditation on the optimum human rebirth, thinking about the difficulties to achieve this proper human rebirth, the great the value of this proper human rebirth, and so forth.
Okay.
So what are the examples of difficulties to achieve this proper human rebirth?
Everybody know. We talk many times this. 다 가상하도 딩야 강가람전 다 녀가와라 때네 빼지고는 녀바가와 아니 빼고는 녀바가와 뭐고는 녀바가와.
So in terms of the difficulties to achieve proper human rebirth, they should explain through the examples, right, and then through the entity and through through the cause and so forth, right? So in terms of the cause, because it is very difficult to create the cause to achieve, create the cause for proper human rebirth, therefore it's very difficult to achieve the proper human rebirth, right? Through the example, there's in terms of the example, so how it is difficult to achieve in terms of example. You remember that?
Or the licking vessel. Licking what's it?
Leaky vessel.
Licking vessel. It's okay.
I remember.
You remember? Good.
Well, I'm not sure, but if there's the world was covered by ocean.
Yeah.
And there's a blind turtle.
Okay.
And every 100 years he gets to swim up to the surface. If he puts his head through, there's a golden yolk floating on the surface of the ocean, and if he puts his neck through the golden yolk, that's how likely it is to obtain a perfect human rebirth.
Good. Do you guys understand?
So such a difficult thing we have achieved right now, right?
Right.
So in terms of the entity or the number, so usually we say there are so many human beings, right?
One time then and Sopo, one Lama teaching to this country, and one Chinese student that he said, this Lama never been to China. You go to China, there are a lot of people.
So if we were to count how many people there are in this world, we can count, right?
Can we count? Count, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit mistake, I don't know. Even in Tibetan, they have over 6 million people. The numbers never go up, never go down. And later, can we count a horse? Do you count horse? Do you know how many horses are what? How about cows? How about elephant? You don't count any animal, other ones?
You can count some animals, right?
Yeah.
How many the kind of animals there are in this world? You can count that, right? Some of them.
Yeah.
Maybe elephant.
What you see, but not really. Because you really don't see, you totally can't see how many elephants out there. That's what it said, that you can't see, but that's some hiding in the bush that's not being seen.
Good, yeah.
Right?
So you can't count.
You can't count how many elephants are there, really, but that's what nobody's being said, that you can see, but really you can't see total how many elephants are there. That's my belief.
근데 나 간제 삼제 셴바 밀리 셴바도 뭐체 간제 띠자 동 거스.
So anyway, so you can't count other beings other than human beings, right?
텐제 바이자 다 미데 다 모고는 시라니까 가오레스로 마모시라요 말했지 마모시라요 말했어.
So therefore, being born as human being in terms of the entity or the number, is very difficult also.
Okay. That's it. Not changing 사제강한 로사 is.
So we have already covered up to that now.
Okay. 다 드린 맞죠 같은 곳에서 두 개 있다.
So today we'll start from the day 10. So
The text, I don't know what page.
if you have the blue cover text is in page 291. So day 10 anyway.
좋아. You see? 다 맞죠? 다 나도 빠지는데 나왔죠 이랬어. 나왔죠. 이제로 요지나요.
So this is the day 10, but in our case it could be maybe the month 10.
Yeah, I think so.
More than month, right?
Yeah. Year 1 and month 10.
Good. No, also we just study 2 hours a day, right? During the day, morning 8 to evening maybe 5, 6 o'clock, all day. Therefore, in the time, you are a kid chimbo, get the jet phone. Got a danger that Timmy comes about the Ranzo, not to shoot in Mares, and they shit that chimbo, Papa little down, and then 2 minutes. And it's not. 산지기 좀 해도 소비야 세시셔 말마도 lumbo 딱 나거든 거들 말이스 캐럽 때문에 냠노인지 세지 전화 말이스 캐럽 제원 냠매 받아 주는 거네다 반 냠매가 틀어면 지금 전화가 들어서 말이스 라면 샤첩지 유놈인지 아니 냠이 예사 말이스 다 산지 공부 아니 샤첩 샤첩지 람 산지 공부로서 그런 거 봐도 다시 다시 지등이 있는 말이스 특히 나더래서
So then Pabongka Rinpoche starts with the following writing from Thubten Damchoe, the great adept. He says, "This is not false, invented dharma, because it is the pit of authentic oral teachings. This is not foolish talk because it comes from classical texts by the great champions. This is not a shimmering mirage. Because saintly scholars and adepts have experienced it. This is not a perilous cliff because it is the highway to highest enlightenment."
was 시행 전반에는 제지주지 저반은 그 끊어주는 되는 손에 내가 사실 저다서거나 손지에서 이제는 뭐 예전에 다른 사실 저거는 로요 그래서
It says he quoted this in every part of the short talk to set our motivation. He restated the headings we had above, and then reviewed the material that comes after the subheadings. So just like I mentioned earlier, so you have to go through all those the categories or outlines before this point.
멋있다. 남짓하고 신년 댄스지, 솜주 댄스 안에 가로 결 자신 되네요. 다 팀들도 팀선도 단절지 죽을 때문에 배자서 다.
And then he says after the subheadings, devoting yourself through this parts of the section on the rules of the path, devotion to a spiritual guide.
간제 틈섬서 안에 주소유 갑라야 안에 지 단전 효과는 저거부터 드리 때가 배자들 다 쓰러.
And it says between the meditation session, if one has time, then one should read a book that explains about the optimum rebirth and so forth.
안에 단전 효과 싸움에 땐들 니볼렘 렌도고 소께네 안에 제거는 줄 남지는 바로 로장고 그래서.
And so by developing the thought how difficult it is to obtain this prophetic rebirth, then one should come to a conclusion, thinking that I must take essence of this prophetic rebirth because it's so difficult to achieve in the future again. So then with that thought, then one should engage in the practice.
안에 대선 저덤로 장선나 안에 럼지 니고 친구 추선 딱 넘바나 라자 산지지 공부 덤데 걔네 가만 년데 딱 제거 그래서.
And so one should engage in the practice to train one's mind, and then turns the mind in the three scopes of the lam-rim, the small, medium, and the great scopes.
그러와 안에 tenzo ngama ngenda madwa ane ta jom chin roya ma reswa.
So you have to proceed, the lower ones before the higher ones. Without preceding the lower ones, you can't jump into the higher one.
ane pena lhasan roba yana ane nani onde sama lhasan rodo lo to yoda yana ti lamba chas dami rogo roba petelo chipares kam chunja yon pena ndos.
So you have an example here saying that if you have intention to go to Lhasa from your home, and then you have to go through all those cities that falls on the way, so you have to go through those in order to reach Lhasa.
이러와 대전다 남공간 이제 속 껴와라 아니 오밍 이주도 껴와 다 껴와 먼저 그래서.
So in order to develop the realizations of the higher path, it is important, it is must to develop the realizations of the lower paths.
배샤잖아 이러와 아니 이제 껴와라 semje 동안은 다 무슨 변이지 그러와 semje 동안이네 그다음에 이렇게 그러와 동안.
And so, for example, if you were to develop compassion towards sentient beings, then you have to think about sentient beings and wish them to be free from their sufferings, right? And in order to have that thought towards others, you have to have that thought towards yourself. And in order to have that, you have to identify your own sufferings, right? And so that's why Shanti in his guide to the Buddhist way of life is, if you have not even dreamed of benefiting yourself before dreaming of this for sentient beings, how will you be of benefiting to others?
Usually we think about other beings very soft and we don't think about ourselves, right? 나로서 가래 맨데 같은 동화 들어와.
So we have to identify our own suffering first. What is the suffering? So whatever one doesn't wish is suffering. That can be small or great.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll stop here for today.
I think now we just we touch, what's that? Touch that text. We just jump the text. That thing is going to change up that look. I'm never going to change it. To go some of the number of the subjects or something about this.
So we only had a time to touch the text only, the two texts. But whatever I mentioned earlier before that is very important, so should contribute on those things as well.
Okay, thank you. And, any questions? Any specific questions?
There are a lot of things with skin and a lot of things.
Sorry.
Okay, good.
Yes, I want to thank you for today's teaching in the quality of the movement that one can receive for oneself of the teaching today to fulfill the nature of what is your own suffering. One of the teachings that I would like to ask you, Geshe Ngawang Tenley, for me, I'm a person who looks at a field of flowers and it comes in like a large scope of energy inside of me. So you teach many, many levels of the inclusion, of the necessity for one's good rebirth, to pay attention of how we're going to create the map. So you give us a map of the higher victorious ones. Yet, the reality of having come into the form, the teaching, I receive a little pamphlet here in this Kurukulla, and I like to listen to words the way they are written in order for me to use it as a spiritual food. So I'm not a fast reader, I'm not an intellectual in that way, yet. If it's true that the teacher, the higher teacher, transmit through the food of the words the quality that we need to imbibe, one of the teaching that instead of having this menu of so many foods in front of me, it is essential to choose one that you practice, whatever it is for each human species. The one I like about the nature of philosophy of Buddhism. You breathe in and you breathe out. And when you breathe for all sentient beings. That teaching gives meaning to my life first, then it gives meaning to the quality of all sentient beings, like the little bug, to the fish, to the dolphin, to the elephant, to all realms. Yet, inside of me, the question I have internally again and again and again, it is hard for me to imagine that it's outside of me. So the lower realms that you speak about, of the falling, that each one of us can fall in a trap of our own mind prison, of the necessity to understand oneself by the teacher who gives us a gate, a door, a fresh air, a breeze, an essence, a fragrance. If we practice one teaching and really master that teaching, isn't it in itself the blessing and the opportunity as a human of practicing humanism to heal the karma? I have to believe in my heart that the humans are good. And we chose this life that is so hardship in so many ways, but I don't want to be a sheep neither. I believe in boldness. I believe that we have to extract that essence. So if I practice one teaching, not to be overwhelmed, but to practice it with the right guidance. It's not easy to find the right teacher, the discernment and the motivation of the right teacher. So I think about words when you offer that it started in India from a point of view of history. I listen very carefully. And I want to develop a different way of listening. So that's called the Dharma. I question many, many ways. So the fulfillment, I breathe in and I breathe for all sentient beings. That's a practice that for me is very practical, very real. Because I say to myself, okay, so I'm breathing on a mountain, I'm breathing in a lake, I'm breathing in my house, I'm in America, or if I'm in Burma or Sri Lanka or Tibet, who cares? I'm breathing. Yet, the quality of this breathing has to open a space of reality. The reality, that's what I'm interested, that's why I'm here. That's why I make the self-effort to come here. Because I like my brothers and sisters. I don't know who they are, but I like to see those people around here, coming in, coming out. I don't know. But I have to trust. It takes trust of the teaching. Not just blindly. Because I think of the story of the yoke, I think of the story of Shantideva that was shared by the nun who is sitting at your right with the blessing of her gentleness, of the teacher who came and he destroyed the garden of this woman who was so focused for survival on her garden, and then he came in and he destroyed all the beautiful garden that she put all her heart, like a mother, into the garden. because that's how she could survive the hardship of life. And then the teacher come and he destroy, so that she come up in the yoke, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I got it.
I don't know either. my vessel was completely upside down. Anyway, what was your question? That was too long. I didn't understand exactly. So can you tell me one word?
Just short,
choose one
just short one.
practice.
Yes.
And to practice that practice with heart, because there is so much teaching.
Okay. Ah, 이제 검사.
Meditate on compassion.
삼세 탐셔라야 다 누가 마요 나왔음 고레스.
And wish for all sentient beings to be free from suffering.
아니 삼세 탐셔 다 대화 나왔음. 들어서 그래서.
And wish for all sentient beings to have happiness. If you can just wish for that, that would be good enough.
근데 용의 체다 어느 라마당 상제당 상주 선보서 신기라고 시스템으로 삼고만.
So in order to be able to do that, then you make a request, pray to the Buddha, Guru, Buddha, to be able to do that.
Okay? That's enough. You don't need to think many things, you don't need to learn things to.
But that's what I offered. You teach one practice to master one practice. Breathing is for all sentient beings. That's compassion, right?
She's talking about Tonglen.
I don't know if it's Tonglen, I don't know the name. I mean, for me it's very clear. It's very clear, the compassionate.
So what do you mean by breathing for other sentient beings? How do you breathe for other sentient beings?
Well, you allow
Can you breathe for me?
gifting. That's what the Shanti offers. I mean, you breathe in that your life is not just for your selfishness. That's what I'm saying.
So you mean like taking the suffering of other beings as you breathe in? Or?
Yes, and then open the space differently. Yeah, I don't have the Tibetan word.
Yes, if you can do that, that's very good.
Yeah.
That's very good. If you can, breathe when you breathe.
Right.
Imagine taking all the suffering of other beings to yourself. Then when you breathe out, giving all the happiness to all sentient beings. If you can think like that,
I do.
That's the best practice.
I do, because I find that this is the practicality of a path that's going to give the blossom to the heart of human.
Yes, that's good. Keep it up.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, good.
May I ask a question?
Hey,
May I ask a question about the 20 praises to the 21 taras?
Okay.
It talks about throughout lapping with tu tare and that type of thing. What does tu tare mean?
Tu tare se ne kastas. Tu tare se ne gevas, ne gimusho se. Da zido me ne gimusho go, tu tare ne gimusho go resa. Ana tu tare gimusho, tu tare de karesa. That's it, that's it.
What does tu tare mean?
So there's a meaning which I'm not familiar with, so I have to look into the commentary, to understand exactly what it means. It's a Sanskrit word. It's not a Tibetan word. It's a Sanskrit word, and it carries meaning, but I don't know exactly what it is. So anyway, maybe it's saying like, Ayatara is very fond of benefiting sentient beings, helping sentient beings.
아니 아주 샘생이 아니 냠내하고 제나 아니 샘생하고 보다 그거 진대하고 붙었나요? 가보려 해서 그러고 이제 바로 됐다. 아니 지들 좀마 이제 바로 때네요. 샘생 먹어도 돌아오고 그래서 이제 바로 됐다.
So her mirthful laughter also, liberate many sentient beings. Can understand that also. So there could be many different commentary, but I don't know exactly what the word means.
Okay. Your question? Your question?
Geshe, you talked in the beginning about having obstacles to our practice. So it's like, in life we have obstacles as a result of negative karma, lacking merit, and so forth. And then we go to the teaching on perfect human rebirth. So for example, I have a perfect human rebirth, and that is a result. It takes so much merit to achieve that. Yeah. So I have so much merit from having just been born human and received these teachings and so on. So my question is, how does karma ripen? Is it very specific? Because I have so much merit to be here and be a human and everything, but I lack the merit for getting a good job. So I have so much merit in one way, and I lack merit in other ways. So how does karma ripen very specifically?
사람들이 농구하는데 내가 가져가고 라고 말했어. 내가 말할 때는 그 사람 반대했어.
내가 라고 손을 싸매 하지. 아니 내가 그래. 쇼치는 내가 라고 손을 저 싸매 나는 했어.
그다음에 미켈은 가서 참만 저도 참 그거 되라.
아니 걔도 저도 간거 다 그러면서 시당에서 임시고 그러고 왔어.
근데 소설을 좀 참자세요. just what to do in the casa torches at the Sogura. Mikio Santa, Mikio Santa, and Mikio and Michukukia and then Lambda Music, the Sogura.
The Sogura, Teresa, Gewang Maya, and it's Zimbaton, the Truth of Cochena, send the light teaching Buddha, and it's
so, the main cause to be born as a human being is the observing of morality, right? Of abandoning ten and virtues. And on top of that, then you have to do also other things, engage in the practice of generosity and helping others, and then it has to be conjoined with the strenuous prayers and so forth. So you have to create. It's not just a merit to be born as a human being, but you have to also to be born as a human being with the with the good health, with wealth, and so forth. You have to create other causes also. So I mean, exactly what cause you have to create to find a good job, we don't know exactly. But in the past, right? Right now, maybe you have to work hard. So anyway, you have to create so many different kind of karmas for different kind of results. So that to be born as a human being, of course, you have to have a lot of merit, and you do have that. And because of that, you are born there. That's the sign already, right?
Mm-hmm. And also, you can do the jobs, and also do the jobs right way. Then people laugh. Then give you more job. Right? If people do the job, then they doesn't do it right way. Then one person fire, then next person fire. Now here, this country, they're looking for your background, right? They look at how you walk. You do everything. Oh, he's a good person. Then you can want more job.
So of course you have the karma as a cause, then you have to also create a condition. At that time, if you don't have the condition, even if you had a karma, you're not. Experience result.
I may have the karma. I haven't had that condition.
Yeah, so it depends. We don't know. You may not.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry, okay? don't think about do the job. You don't think, oh, what can I create the karma to? Maybe this is maybe you cannot well put it. You create the karma, get a good job, then you find a good job, maybe you attempt to die. Therefore, effort. That's the true loop, right? Okay? Okay. More questions? Also, Thank you, chanting master. Finish? Okay. Good job. Thank you. Anyway, thank you very much. Cold weather. But not cold, that is good. I have blanket, you guys have not blanket. That's still I get cold. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.